Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Project Freelance. My name is Kay Anagonio, and I am your host here on this podcast all about freelancing. So, when we recorded this episode, we were actually in quarantine. So, hopefully, by the time you're listening to this episode, we are out of quarantine from the coronavirus, and we are back to living life at its normal pace. And hopefully, Danny is back on tour with some bands. Hopefully, I'm on tour with some bands. Hopefully, we're all back at work full time and we're not stuck in our houses. But for the time being, we will be chatting from inside our bedrooms. So this week on the podcast, I am joined by Danny Todd of the Danny Toddcast. If you guys haven't listened to his podcast, you should absolutely do that. It's full of awesome episodes with his friends, his colleagues, people he's toured with, people he knows from tour. And he also has like his brothers on the podcast. His mom's been on the podcast. So it's a super interesting podcast. You guys should definitely check it out. Before we get started with this episode, there are a bunch of links down in the description. One of those links is to my book, No Tracers, An Urban Explorer's Diary. If you guys like abandoned places, if you like seeing photography of abandoned places, definitely pick up a copy of my book. It is full of photos from abandoned places, as well as stories of how we got in, the things we saw, how we got out, all that good stuff. Aside from my book, there are a bunch of affiliate links to Amazon if you guys need gear, if you need camera gear, if you need audio recording gear, if you need a new backpack, if you need a solar charger for your stuff while you're out on the go. There are a bunch of links down in the description that I think will help you out. There's also links to help you with your taxes, which have been pushed to July 15th. So if you still haven't done your taxes, there is a link to TurboTax down in the description that will help you get started today on filing your taxes. Cool. All right, let's get into this episode. Danny, could you please introduce yourself and what it is you do to the Project Freelance audience?
My real name is Daniel, but I go by Danny. Last name is Todd. Photographer, videographer, just overall content creator. I guess social media manager, and now podcast. I guess I don't know what title would that be. Just podcast runner, podcaster. Yeah. So. But mainly photographer, videographer, that's kind of how I got to where I am now with all the touring and what. So that would be my main title, I guess you could say.
So let's talk about how you got into photography and videography. When did you first pick up a camera?
It must have been middle school for me. I used to skateboard with my buddies a lot, and my friend Eddie was dating this girl. If you can even call it dating in middle school, I don't think that really counts. But basically, she had some camera. I think it was a Lumix FZ20. And I think I had convinced my dad to pay. It was, we bought it off of her for $80. Basically, we just wanted it so we could take photos and sort of decent videos of us skateboarding and kind of just put it together. Just acting dumb. So I kind of started with that a little bit. My dad also used to be a photographer. So there was always photos around the house and stuff like that. And my studio lights that I actually use are his. So I think in the back of my mind, it being all over the house and stuff kind of planted it in my head a little bit. But I would say it kind of mixed with that and the skateboarding with my friends, wanting to film it and stuff like that. All of that together kind of branched and went into me wanting to do it. And then I believe, so going from the skateboarding and stuff like that, I would just be walking to school and stuff and just taking photos. And then I started taking, I think my junior year, I did yearbook. And then, so for yearbook, you're supposed to have, everyone is dedicated a spread. You're not just doing one thing. You're taking, say you get football, you're taking the photos for football, you're doing the text for football, everything for that one spread. Halfway through the year, I was like, you guys, this is not fun. I don't want to write anything. Can I just take photos? So basically halfway through my junior year, I became the senior photographer for yearbook. So I was basically just going around and taking photos for other people's spreads. And I'd get halfway through the class and just be like, all right, I'm done. Time to just screw around on Illustrator or something like that. And basically the same for my senior year, just snapping pics, easy class. And I'd say senior year is when I was starting to hang out with Alan. You probably know Alan from Mice.
Oh yeah, Ashby. Yeah.
Um,
I was like Alan. Who?
yeah,
But
sorry,
yeah,
yeah,
makes
Alan
sense.
Ashby.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Him and I used to play ice hockey and roller hockey together. So I knew him from like elementary school time. Like way, way back in the day before I picked up the camera to skateboard and all that stuff. And him and I were starting to hang out again in my maybe junior year, but definitely senior year. Just kind of hanging out on the weekends and doing high school senior bullshit. I think at that time he's a year older, so I think he was doing college stuff. But just hanging out with him and whatnot. And obviously this is before he was in Of Mice and Men, but at that time, like I was just still doing the skateboarding for fun and taking photos, and never really bridged the gap with him in my photo work or videos at all. Like when I went over to hang out, it was purely just to hang out, play Call of Duty and drink and all that fun stuff. So it wasn't until I met Austin that I started bringing my camera around. This is like the super short version, of course. But when I met Austin, that's when I started taking more photos and whatnot, because they clicked on the music aspect, obviously. And I'm talking about Austin Carlisle, by the way. I know I said I didn't say Alan's last name, but they were hanging out, all of us hanging out. They were writing music and whatnot, and I think I would just randomly bring my camera around just for fun. And then they pretty much. This was when Austin wasn't in the band. Do you remember when Jerry Roush?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that was that time period. So Austin's not in the band. Alan obviously isn't in the band yet, and we're all hanging out. They're writing music, blah 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 blah. Randomly, I guess the band hit up Austin and wanted him back, and he's like, "Hey, I'll join if Alan can come with me." So, well, Austin rejoined and brought Alan with him, which sweet deal.
Yeah.
As far as like months and weeks, I don't know how much went by, but basically they're like, "Hey, we're going on tour," and Austin asked me, and he was like, "Hey, dude, like, we know you take photos. Like, you want to come out with us like for a month?" I was like, I was 18. Yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, why not? Like, my parents were a little iffy on it, but they let me do it. But then they asked me if I could take video. And at this time, I know I mentioned I had that one, the Lumix FZ20, pretty shit camera. I upgraded eventually through the years to the Rebel XTI. But at this point in time, I had the Canon 5D, just the Mark 1. So it didn't shoot video. So they asked me if I could shoot video. I was like, dude, I mean, like, I could. I just don't have a camera that does video. And I was like, well, let me just go on Facebook or something. And I think I did like a post. I was like, hey, like, I'm going on tour with this band, blah, 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 blah. I need something that shoots video, and I need it for a month. And someone hit me up, and I traded a photo shoot, and she let me borrow her camera for a month. But I guess basically that's kind of like how it went. I mean, I met the Woe Is Me boys on that, and my second tour was Warped Tour with them like a couple months later. So like it kind of just snowballed from there. It's kind of funny. I've told that story so many times, but it's like I've definitely missed some details in there. So hopefully I made somewhat sense.
Oh yeah, totally. And like based off of everything you just said, I do have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So for those that are say 18, 19, and right now when we're recording this, we're all in quarantine, but eventually when this comes out, hopefully quarantine will be over. I've got like 12 or 13 podcasts to put out. So hopefully by the time this one comes out, we're out of quarantine.
Hell yeah.
But for those that are out there that are say 18, 19 years old and just got their first offer to go on tour, what are some things you can reassure your parents of? Like, what did you tell your parents when you were like, hey, I'm going to go on this tour, I'll see you later?
Well, see, I was kind of lucky that like I had known Alan, like my parents knew or know Alan's parents. Like I think I got kind of lucky that they knew who I was touring with. Like maybe if it was some band that I don't even know, like only talk to these people on like social media or something, like maybe they'd be a little bit like more skeptical on it. But I would say I was a little bit lucky on that. But as far as, man, I don't know. Reassuring your parents. Maybe just be on your best behavior. Maybe don't go to parties and risk getting like arrested by the cops or something. I mean, I feel like it might just depend on who you are, and if you're like a troublemaker, your parents might not want you to be in another state. um, I don't know. I would say just keep proving yourself that you love doing, the photo video. Be practicing every day. I mean, obviously the practice will be good for your own work, but it will show them that you're serious about it. Be on your best behavior, wash the dishes, pick up dog crap, like all the stuff that they tell you to do, but do it without them asking. So you kind of prove to them that you're an adult and you can handle yourself, on a bus or a van or a Sprinter in a different state, where you can't just go to the next room and ask for, help from your mom or dad. I don't know. I just try and show them that you're growing up and can hold your own, I guess.
No, for sure. That's great. And you're so right. Like, go out of your way to do things before they ask. I think that's a huge thing. So your first tour,
real quick,
go ahead.
I think you should just to be a good, daughter or a son, I think you should do that regardless. But
oh, for sure.
If you're trying to get on the sweet side, maybe go the extra mile, Anyways, sorry. Go ahead.
Definitely. No. So your first tour, was it in a van, a bus? Like what was the situation like?
I got spoiled right away. Bus.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I'd say.
So what was
lucky.
that like, going from nothing to being on a bus?
I mean, pretty nice. I didn't have to, do the whole tour of a van and stuff like that. Like, I kind of just jumped into straight luxury, I guess. And I'm very, blessed, and, I just got lucky. I don't know. It was great. I mean, I didn't have to worry about driving. Well, actually, 18 years old, I don't think they would let me drive. But like, there's a lot of things that you don't have to worry about. It's like the driver is hired to take care of everything. So, I mean, it was very nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, if I were to start off in a van like most people do, or a Sprinter, or even a bandwagon, it's like those hardships definitely build character. And once you get to the bus, I think it is a bit more rewarding. Now it's like, when I go into a bus, I'm like, oh, this one's sick, but the other one had bigger bunks. Like, I don't know, but it was great. I couldn't really control it. They just had a bus.
They were just killing it.
They were just killing it. Yeah,
killing it.
But
I mean, it's a mice. Like, come on.
I will say though, it was only one night, but and this can kind of the Sleeping with Sirens guys, right? So kind of put in perspective of, it's 2011, I believe, like early. Because I graduated high school 2010, so I don't know if it was still 2010 or if it was like just the beginning of 11. But basically, Sleeping with Sirens is huge now. They were, I think, maybe 3 or 4 on the bill, and they were in a van.
Wow.
And one of the nights I rode in the van with them, and it was so fun. So fun. Like, I mean, it was only one night, but it was definitely interesting. We were driving through Iowa. I know that. Middle of nowhere. We got lost for a little bit. Directions told us to go drive down train tracks. Like, I don't know. It was pretty fun though.
So do you have a bunk preference on the bus? Are you a top, middle, or bottom bunk person?
So usually, especially coming like my main tour dogs, Mice and Men guys, like the band usually takes the middle. I would say that's pretty common with most bands. If I have a choice, I'm going bottom, just because going up top, it's so annoying. Like if you're drunk at night and you're trying to climb up your bunk, like it really, really sucks. Because especially if like the band is in the middle bunks, like you have to step on someone's like the edge of someone's bunk, and like you always have to be careful. And if you're drunk, it's not helpful. But and I'm not just making my decisions based off of getting drunk, but no, I think I like the bottom if I can choose. It's just easier. I don't have to be an acrobat to get up there. I mean, I'm in decent shape, so it's not that long. I'm talking like 5 extra seconds of my night, but I prefer the bottom bunks.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. My main thing is like I don't want to fly out of a top bunk and like just get decapitated.
Oh yeah, I've dropped my phone once and cracked it, and the rest of the tour that was so not fun.
No, absolutely not.
But if you can get a middle bunk, do it, because it is. I've had it once with I was on tour with Jeffree Star, and I had a middle bunk, and it's just so easy.
We will get into talking more about working with Jeffree Star, but first I want to go to Warped Tour. Tell me about your first Warped Tour experience. Did you go as a fan before you were on the tour, or did you just you just like were on the tour?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I was with the Woe Is Me guys, and they were, I mean, with Mice and Men, I mean, Alan being 1 year older than me, the rest of the guys, got me by a few, maybe 4 years or something like that. But the Woe Is Me dudes, we were all pretty much the same age. I don't think maybe like one person was like of legal drinking age, I think. I don't know. It was just a shit show. In like the best way, but also like sometimes in the worst way. It was incredible. I mean, it's just like I'm sure you've heard this term before, but it's just like an adult summer camp, like with music. Mm-hmm. And it's like really cool but scary because like booze is just flying around everywhere and people are like, I don't know. It was fun. It was really fun. I'm trying to think of any memories. There's a bunch of YouTube videos. I know that. I forget. Yeah. Because this is at the beginning of my second tour, so I'm still pretty new to it. And then you get thrown into like 115, heat in New Mexico, and you're like freaking out.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I mean, it was just the same kind of vibe as the tour, like a normal tour, just outside in the sun. I guess that's just my vibe of it.
Yeah, no.
It's so like, long ago. So
Warped Tour. Yeah, Warped Tour was like a huge part of, my growing up. I would go with my parents or with friends.
Oh, cool.
And then in 2014, I emailed Kevin Lyman and I was like, hey, I would love to photograph Warped Tour. And he was like, yeah, come to whatever show you want. Yeah. So I ended up photographing like 5 tours that summer,
no way.
5 shows that summer. Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, let me just drive around with some friends and just go to all these Warped Tour dates and photograph it.
That's
so
tight. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Warped Tour's got a special place in my heart for sure.
That's awesome.
So continuing along, after Warped Tour with Woe Is Me, what did you do? What was your next run? And where did you go from there? Did you do any college stuff, or did you just jump into?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow. I should have brought my laminates out here. Damn it. It was either of Mice and Men or Woe Is Me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So you were with them for a while then?
Oh yeah, I would say like 70% of my touring was with the Mice and Men, and then Woe Is Me. Yeah, a lot of Mice and Men.
What was it like to watch Mice and Men grow to, they're huge, they're a gigantic band. Like, what was it like to be a part of their journey and creating content for them while they were growing?
Pretty awesome. I mean, like, although some of them were a little bit older than me, like I said, Alan only being 1 year, we still kind of all grew together from, just kids on tour to people getting married and, you know, having serious girlfriends and, you know, lifestyle changes as far as like going to vegan and stuff, which I would never imagine like Alan going vegan or, you know, stuff like that. I mean, it was a really cool experience. And sometimes I forget, and I wish I would have like kind of thought about it more before coming on this, because like trying to talk and remember things is not easy. It was really cool. I would say, wow, I should have been a little bit more prepared for that question. I don't know. I mean, of course it was amazing for any band, you know, like, for example, like, I mean, my second, let's see, I've only done like 3 full Warped Tours. So like first one was Woe Was Me, then Miss May I, then Woe Was Me again. So like, and I've toured again with Miss May I once and stuff like that. And I think it goes across the board with all the bands I toured with, except for like the most recent ones. But it is cool to see everyone grow. And I mean, they're still all the same people, but more mature, obviously. But I'd say the biggest takeaway is the writing style, the music changing, you know, like even to this day, it's like when Amice put their new record out, like before that, I was like, yo, how are you guys going to change and sound different? Like that last record was so sick. Like, how are you going to do something different? And like, you see them on tour and you're like, wait, dude, what the hell? That is sick. Like, you're just in the back lounge or something and they're writing, and it's like stuff that you've never kind of heard before. And you're like, damn, Alan, like, what are you doing, bro? That sounds insane. So I think it's the biggest thing is watching all of them grow within like their writing style and learning and just getting better at their craft, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that's a decent answer.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer. It's so interesting, like, you know, getting to be in the back of the bus and hearing artists work on their craft. I think it's one of the most special parts about touring, you know, and I know that I've got a couple friends that are in the Futuristic camp, and Futuristic is always writing music. He's a rapper, and so he's always like freestyling. He's always writing music, like on the bus, off the bus, no matter where they're at. And he'll do these like freestyles and just throw them up on his Instagram, you know? So like his content creator is just all on top of it all the time. And like he lives in the same house with all of his own crew. So he's tight. Just always working on music. So I always love hearing, you know, about people that are a part of that camp that get to, you know, experience that part of it, because not a lot of people get to experience the writing process of a band's music. So that's super cool that you got to, you know, experience that with Of Mice and Men. It's such a big and iconic band in the scene. And even What Was Me, like even, you know, with their lineup changes over the years, I'm sure that was super interesting to, you know, be a part of. Not sure if you experienced multiple different people in the band and that kind of thing, but did you have any other formal education as far as like photography or video goes, or were you just completely self-taught?
Nope, just self-taught. I mean, as YouTube became bigger and more accessible, I would say just like learning on like, oh, I have something I need to learn on my camera. YouTube. You know, just going on forums and stuff is probably the only real like way of learning, besides just kind of trial and error and figure it out. And well, let's just hope tonight's show goes well. And but you mentioned you said with What Was Me, just to dip back with the Mice guys, I was definitely there through, you know, Shaylee leaving, Joel Piper joining for a little bit, like Aaron joining, like all of that. I was there for it all, and it was insane.
Man, yeah, I bet it was just crazy to, you know, see the dynamic change throughout the band, like over and over and over again. Yeah,
and it's one of those, especially with the What Was Me too. It's a test of character, because if you're always changing, you know, key people. I mean, like you think Shaylee, like he was a massive key of that band. That was a vocal, and when he left, things, you can see it shifting. So like, and even with you know, Michael Bond and Tyler Carter leaving What Was Me, things kind of changed a little bit, and you can see what Michael and Tyler wanted to do because Issues came out, and that was like a whole nother level. So like all of that kind of goes into watching people grow and things are changing. And I think that, I mean, at the time when people were leaving the bands and whatnot, you're like, what the hell? Like, no, this is terrible. Things are going to end tragically. But looking back on it, I'm like, all of that needed to happen. Like, I think if it didn't, things would probably be a lot worse, I guess.
Oh no, for sure. If Tyler and Michael had stayed in Woe Is Me, like that band probably would have just ended right there, you know, and Issues maybe never would have happened.
And Issues is huge now.
Huge.
And I mean, it can translate into your normal life. Like sometimes you have something terrible happen to you, and in the moment you're like, why, God, why? Like, my life is over. And then like a year later, you're like, wow, okay, that situation changed who I am for the better. I learned from it. And I mean, I think it just translates pretty equally into the music. And
for sure.
Growing as a musician or if you're a crew member, like just who you are, certain things like that. Like, I mean, I wasn't affected musically by Shaylee leaving, you know, but he was very close to me, and having him leave and seeing what he was going through definitely affected me personally, you know, on the road and off the road. So it's like, it all translates pretty well. If you can be a tough cookie on the road, you can probably be a pretty tough person on the outside and kind of hold your own. So.
Yeah, definitely. And how long did it take for you to find your worth, your value as a content creator? Was it something that, you know, at the beginning you were like, I'm going to charge this much because this is how much everyone else is charging? Or were you just trying to like figure it out at the beginning?
I hope I'm right. I don't think anyone would call me out on it because I don't think anyone remembers either. But that first tour with the Mice, I think they just told me like, hey, like, we're going to just give you like a couple $100 so you can like eat, you know, like it wasn't like, here's part of like a wage for food and here's for content, like nothing like that. But the Woe Is Me one, I think is when I kind of stepped it up a little bit, which is kind of funny. I think I got for the entire Warped Tour, this is 2012? No, 11. I don't know. Because, Miss May I was Warped Tour 2012. So, 11. I think I was getting paid like $1,700. And at this time, I still didn't have a video camera. So I was like, I think before, maybe like 2 weeks out from the tour, because we're all at the band house in Georgia, I was like, yo, Mitch, their tour manager, I was like, hey, so I don't have a video camera and you guys want video. How about we do this? The Canon 7D is pretty much the same price that you guys are going to pay me. Why don't you just buy me the camera right now, and then I'll be fine. I'll have catering and like a couple $100 extra from like buyouts I don't know. I think I had like a couple $100 left over from like the cost of the camera versus my pay. But basically I was like, yo, hey, buy me this camera right now. You don't have to pay me at the end of tour or as the tour goes on. Buy me that. So now we have video content.
No, that's a great idea, because then after that point, you then have a video camera that you can use on future tours.
Exactly. Yeah. And who knows, maybe if I didn't have the video, you know, Miss May I wouldn't have hired me for the next one or anything else, you know, like that. But as far as finding my worth money-wise, I think I'm still, even to this day, figuring out that, because certain bands can pay a premium rate and some others can't. So you kind of got to figure out like, okay, well, if you can't pay this full amount, then we got to figure out what we're going to do, because I can't charge this one band, you know, my top rate and give them everything. And then a few $100 cheaper, but you want everything too. So like, I think it's still a constant thing of figuring out what, I wouldn't necessarily say what you're worth, but kind of just like, hey, like, I'm providing you a service. Here's option A, B, and C. You figure it out. But
Yeah.
I'd say it took me at least a few years to figure out kind of like a baseline weekly rate, because that's what I do. I do weekly rates. So I think it definitely took me a few years to figure out like a ballpark of within a couple $100 on each side where I have to be to cover my bases.
That's awesome. Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out as well as a freelancer, and I think that's a very normal thing. So I was just kind of curious to see if it was kind of the same for you. It typically takes, it can take 3 to 5 years to start building a business, and so I think that's kind of the process of finding your rate. And rates are always changing. My rate changes constantly. At least every year, I try to up my rate a little bit, just because that's growth. That's the whole point of business at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
So who are some of the other photographers in the community that you look up to, or videographers?
So I got, well, he's not in the scene, but he was with me. Like, he lived in the same area. He showed me what HDR was back in the day. Like, it was, I don't know, when HDR was going crazy. But his name is Justin Bettman. He is doing insane stuff. He shoots for like GQ, and he posts a bunch of celebrities and stuff like that. So just incredible work. But yeah, so Justin Bettman. I mean, obviously the dude Adam Almachias. I mean, that's the standard go-to. Let's see here, because things are changing. Like, everyone's now doing video. I remember when I started, like, no one was doing video. So like now there's different aspects. Like, there might be someone that's like more photo than video. Let's see here. Well, obviously the work of Jar Baby. He's crushing it. Who else? Let's see here. Of course, it's like there's just so many people that it's hard to like choose certain ones. And I wish I had my like Instagram up here ready.
Yeah, I also kind of put you on the spot. I'm all,
tell
me everyone you like now.
No, you're good. Well, I mean, I just had Bryce Hall.
Oh yeah, okay.
We talked about it on my podcast. He was on his first tour. So when I was on tour with Jeffree Star, that was his first tour, and it's been incredible to watch him grow because he's insanely talented. Looking through my Instagram right here, if I can even find people. It's so hard to pick and pull certain people.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many amazing photographers out there. Ashley Osborne, Sam Madnick, there's so many people out there.
Like you yourself, you're doing crazy shit.
Oh,
I love the abandoned warehouse, or just all abandoned crazy shit that you're doing.
Thank you,
that
man.
Stuff's sick.
That's my
all
shit.
of it's sick.
It's my shit.
That is sick. I'm looking through my stuff. It's so hard. There's just so many people that are doing incredible work, and there's so many different styles that it's like you could probably tell me to list certain people under certain styles, and I could have like 5 bullet points under each style. So it's hard to really choose. My Instagram is just so saturated with like just crazy After Effects stuff that when I do see something from bands, it's like it just kind of gets lost in the moment. But I really like going back and like thinking I should have just like thought of questions ahead of time just in case. Like, write down your favorite content creators. Yeah, the people I said was V-Tran, I think is TRN. I forget what it is. He's gonna kill me. Anthony Tran.
Oh yeah.
I'm so bad with names. It's ridiculous. It sucks.
I mean, we know everybody by username, so I get it.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I know that. Well, see, that's his, that's his username, V-Tran, and I haven't seen him since like, it's been years since I've seen him. But it's like, it's all the people that you see going on tour. I think everyone is my favorite. You know, like I'll see one video from, was it Mike DeMilla? I can never say his name right. Mike DeMilla. He was just out with, wow, what's the guy's name that, oh, As I Lay Dying.
Oh yeah.
You know what I was probably gonna say.
Yeah.
The guy that went to prison. Yeah. Anyways, like he'll post a video of As I Lay Dying, and it's super sick. And then I'll see Gibson Hazard doing like The Weeknd. You know, so it's like there's like such a large pool of people that are doing incredible stuff. It's too hard to mention all of them because, like they're my favorite because like all of them are my favorites because of the work they do, and they have such a diverse style. So
yeah, and I love how many different photographers there are out there, it's not just like one or two that are just dominating and like taking all the work, there's plenty of work to go around, and there's plenty of bands that are out there touring. So for those that are out there that are, maybe discouraged, like I can't get any work, like what do I do? Like, do you have any tips for them on how to, reach out to bands or managers or labels to, try to get on these tours?
I mean, just keep pressing. Obviously, don't be the annoying person that just keeps blasting their Instagram or their email or something. Like, just be professional. Hit up the manager, hit up the band directly. Everyone nowadays is, on Instagram or Twitter. Send a tweet, send a direct message, email the venue or the manager. Something like. I've personally even given photo passes for friends, for friends obviously, but some people that we just follow each other on social media. So like, without being annoying, you could ask like the guitar tech, if you want, like, hey, like, would love to shoot this. Like, I can't get a pass any other way. Like, can you help me out? Like, sometimes they'll say yeah, but I would just say, shoot your shot. Like, don't be annoying and just keep keep working on your own like personal style. It's not something you really work on, it kind of just happens. But just don't be a cookie cutter. You be your own style, and that only comes with time. Like I'm still figuring out my style. My style is always changing, and I'm sure you could probably relate. Like you look back to years ago and you'll be like, whoa, like that was pretty tight, but also I'm a lot better now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, then you take that old style and you're like, well, now I know more. I can take that because that looks cool that you did 5 years ago and bring it now, and it's got that same style, but now that new flair that you've learned. So I'd say just keep working and just try not to like. You can take inspiration from other artists and whatnot, but like. You got to twist it and make it your own. Because if this person looks at you, like the band or the manager, whoever you talk to, they're going to look at your Instagram. They're going to look at your Twitter or wherever, your website, and they're going to be like, well, we have like 5 other photographers that look just like this. Why would we need another one? Like,
yeah.
I would say just kind of hone in on your craft and just make it your own and unique. I mean, it's art for a reason. I mean, we don't need 20 Van Goghs,
And then what's a typical day on tour look like for you? Like, what time are you waking up? What time are you going to bed? Like, what do you do in between that time?
Let's see here. Recently, the last couple of years, I'd say I'm not sleeping in like crazy, but I'm talking maybe like 10 in the morning or something like that, depending on how that night before went. Of course, but I'd say wake up and kind of scope the area. Nowadays, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm like, all right, we're here, this venue, okay, I know what's around. Like, oh, I'm going to go to this spot, kind of just find coffee. If I have any editing to do, like I said, I'll go get coffee, something to eat, come back, and just kind of pop in headphones, edit video, photo. Most of the bands, they'll do, like if it's of Mice and Men, like sound check is a certain time, and they got, VIP meet and greet. And then usually after that, depending on when they want those photos or whatnot, like I'll deliver them to the management or something like that. And basically after that, you just wait till the show time, and you have a shot or two of Jameson. You do the show, you come back, and I personally love coming right back to the bus or the green room, but I'm more of a bus guy when I edit. I'll just come straight after the set and edit photos, get them to, put them on the Dropbox and send it to the group text and be like, hey, here's your photos. Now I'm going to work on video. And usually I'll have my camera out just in case some funny shit happens. Yeah.
And are you a front lounge editor or a back lounge editor?
I would say I'm a front lounge editor, mainly because, with all the years of Mice and Men, the back lounge is like the writing studio / video game area. Like people are playing FIFA and Call of Duty. So it's like if I'm back there, usually it means like, it's New York and they went out to do like a meeting with the suits or something. But I would say front lounge for sure.
Cool. Yeah. And let's talk about your podcast. Why'd you want to start a podcast?
I've always kind of just like listened or watched on YouTube, like Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Chris D'Elia, Bert Kreischer, all the big cats. And
yeah.
I always loved listening or watching it, whatever. And I think it was like maybe the last week of 2019, I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to have my own. Like, just always like almost every single day for like a collective like hour, I'd be like, damn, like that would be really cool. I don't think I could do it, but that would be really cool to have my own podcast. And then, just doing that for like a week on the 4th of let's see here. I'm like trying to pull up. Let's see here. I think it was on the 4th. I was just trying to make sure. Yeah, okay. So on the 4th of January, I was just sitting at the table and I said, all right, screw this. I'm going to Best Buy, and I bought the Yeti mic by Blue Designs. Mm. I just said, screw it. I'm just going to go there and I'm going to buy it. It's only like, I don't know, 100. I think I paid like $150 or something, under 200. I was like, hey, if I buy this right now, it kind of forces me to at least try it. So, went to Best Buy, bought the Yeti, the Blackout, came home, plugged into my Adobe Audition, and had my brother with me and did my first podcast and put it up that day. So I kind of just was like, you know what, just do it. Like talking and stuff like this, like back in high school, I was always the one that never liked to do, book reports. And I've said it before on some of my podcasts where it's like, I would take a letter grade off just so I didn't have to get in front of the class to talk. So the fact that I'm doing this is kind of like proving to myself that I can do it. Maybe to help myself talk better. Sometimes I feel like I stumble over my words. My mouth wants to talk faster than I should. So all of these things kind of went in my head. I was like, just do it. Like what the worst that you're going to like do is you're going to put an episode out or it sounds like garbage and you'll go return your mic and get your money back. Like it's not as scary as I'm putting it out to be. So I just did it. And yesterday I did my 30th episode. And I've spent like over like $1,000 on equipment so far. So, it's something that I love. And there's certain days where I'm like, damn, like I might be talking to like my best friend, but I'm still nervous. Like it's scary. Like, but it was just one of those that I was like, just do it. You got really nothing to lose.
Most people can't get past episode 7, so the fact that you're on episode 30 proves that you're doing this thing. You're really killing it. And
thank you.
Who are some of the what are some of the more favorite episodes you have that you've done? Like who have you talked to that you really enjoyed hearing from?
Okay, well, I definitely had my friend Jason. I've known him, like he lives one house down from me, and I've literally known him. I think we were both 6 months old. like when we moved next door to each other. So like my entire life I've known him. He's my workout buddy, you know, like it was really fun. And it was my on my birthday too. So like birthday episode, best friend, like it was really fun. He, you know, I like to do the thing where, you know, have booze and stuff on, like snacks and stuff on the table, real Joe Rogan style, you know?
Love it. Love it.
And then, so I did that one and the one with my mom on the same day. I think I posted the one with my friend the day after or something like that. But those were fun. I really liked the one I did with Bo Boken. That one was good. Like I said, there's a bunch. You know, I did one with Aaron Berkshire, great photographer. That was
I literally just did one with him. I love that guy.
Yeah. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to that one because, I mean, that's a hefty episode. I mean, what was it, like 3 hours?
3 hours.
Yeah, I have a few of those. Those are fun. Those are definitely
fun, man. Yeah, so the one with Aaron, so we did, I did a full episode about the coronavirus and how it's affecting different industries. So I had like 11 different guests on, and then I separately did like an episode with each of those guests. So now I have, like I said, like 12 or 13 weeks of content.
So you're set. You're set for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've got let's see. I mean, there's a bunch. I mean, like I said, I have 30 episodes. I mean, yesterday, the one with Bryce, that one was really fun. Like, we talked about like a bunch of shit that I don't even think, like, if you were to ask me like to write down some stuff to talk about, it would not have been on the list. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I have some that are like, let's see here. I don't know. I have like at least 5 or something that are like 2-3 hours. And sometimes those ones are the ones that you're like, hey, if we get 30 minutes, I'll be cool. Right. 3 hours later, you're like, oh shit. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I like all of the episodes, and I mean, they're just getting better and better as I go, just by better equipment and, you know, not doing, I mean, for Skype, when I did the Skype ones before I got my Rodecaster Pro, the audio was pretty spotty, so I'll have to circle back and, you know, like I did one with Andrew Piano. He was What Was Me, and that one was a pretty rough quality sounding one via, I don't think that was doing the phone yet. No, yeah, I did the phone, but it was Bluetooth, so it was pretty spotty. I'll have him again, but just trying to get better with it. I'm sure you can ask me the same question, what's my favorite one, in like a week or two, and I'll have different answers. But yeah, that's all changing. I mean, I like them all, but it's fun. What about you? Do you have a favorite? I know you have a ton of episodes. You got like over 100.
Over 100.
or one.
Yeah, we're on like.
Yeah, a couple that.
We're on like 112, but
nice.
Let's see. I mean, the one with Adam Elmakias was great just because, you know, I've looked up to the guy for so long.
Yeah.
I just recently did one with Grizzly Martin, and
cool.
I've filmed behind the scenes for him a couple times, so that was really cool.
Right
I also really want to photograph rockets. So I've had a couple rocket photographers on the podcast, like space rockets, you know what I mean? So I've had a couple rocket photographers on the podcast.
That's
and
awesome.
Those are very, very cool episodes. And then I talked to this guy named Graham Sheldon, who's like a film producer and a DP, a director. And he's actually explored Chernobyl, which is one of my, you know, it's on my list of places that I have to explore before I die, you know? So,
yeah.
And he made he was there for like a week and made a full documentary about the place. And so I like picked his brain and was like, tell me everything about this.
That's
but I mean,
sick. Hell yeah.
Yeah, but now hearing that you have a Rodecaster makes me kind of want to get a Rodecaster just so I can have better audio, because I am still on Skype and it is pretty spotty and it sucks.
It's like
it's very frustrating.
It's not bad if you have like the Skype connection with someone else who is like connected to some bomb Wi-Fi or something, but like chances chances are it's not. And like what I mentioned, the one with Andrew, like I did have the Rodecaster yet, but I didn't have the proper cable. So I connected my phone via Bluetooth to the Rodecaster, which is cool. But it was just so spotty. He's in Canada. I'm here. Connection was probably just doo-doo all around. But like, once you get the cable, it's pretty next level. I'm not going to lie. And then you got like all the MIDI controller. Like I would press it, but I don't have it recording. But I got like my sounds all set up, like It's pretty badass. If you can get it, I would recommend it for sure.
I'm definitely going to reach out to Rode and see if they'll just give me one.
I mean, hey, do it.
You never know.
Well,
Maybe.
I did have a question. What mics or mic are you using?
So I'm using a Scarlett Studio mic. I did a sponsorship years ago with Scarlett or with Focusrite. And Focusrite sent me their like 1A studio setup. So it's like the DAW or the interface is just a one microphone jack, single headphone jack. But I mean, it gets the job done. And I also record vocals at home. So it's great for that kind of stuff, for picking up the vocals as well as doing things like podcasts. So that's what I'm using.
Yeah,
Focusrite.
I was thinking before I was looking at, I always wanted to get the Rode, the Rodecaster, but I was looking at that, the Scarlett, not the solo one, but the one that had like, I think it was just the two XLR mic input.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I was looking at that. That is sick. And that mic,
just came out with like a whole new line too. So definitely check out Focusrite if you're.
I don't know. I'm definitely got my eyes on. Well, my next mic upgrade is going to be just to the Rode podcast mics, just because they're pretty cheap.
Oh yeah.
But I'm definitely gonna go hard in the paint and get the Shure SM57s. Or wait, SMB 57s? SM7B. SM7B.
Yeah, that's
like
what it is.
400 a pop.
But they're so tasty.
Dude, they're so sick. But the Rode, I think they're just called Rode. I don't even know. Rode podcast mics. Who knows? They say they pair really, really well with the Rodecaster. Duh, because they're the same company. But I just need, right now I just have like the tabletop boom stands. But when I get these, I need to upgrade and get like, I'm going to, customize my table, drill in holes. So I have like the legit arms and mechanical arms and stuff. Like make it legit. I got a bunch of stuff. I'm just trying to pimp out my little studio thing. So
I love that. I mean, I wish I could have my guests all come in and, record here, but, unfortunately everybody I know lives everywhere else. So
right.
We can't go Joe Rogan style, unfortunately. If I could afford to fly people in, that would be so sick.
I might once I make a little bit, get more traction on this, I might just start flying, do like a few, like, all right, I'll fly out to LA and knock out 5, or like, try and make a multi-purpose trip of it. But like, as far as flying people out, not there yet. Shoot, what was it? Oh, I wanted to ask you, because you film every episode, or what do you put on YouTube?
So on YouTube, I actually just make like a title card visual thing, and then I throw it into After Effects, and then I have like a little round sound After Effects template that basically moves with the sound waves.
That's what I was thinking about doing.
It's like an audio visualizer. So I just put that on YouTube. It's super simple, and I mean, it takes forever to render out of After Effects, but I mean, once it's done, it looks pretty solid. And I mean, I've been doing that for, all the episodes, just because like we were saying about Skype, like Skype video makes it even worse than Skype audio. So,
oh goodness. Yeah.
I would have them do like Skype video, but it just would not work, So,
right.
I think the audio visualizer was the thing that really was the only option, to be honest with you. And I mean, it works. People will watch it or listen to it in the background. And like, I mean, it's like, I watch Joe Rogan's podcast every day, but I'm not necessarily like watching it.
Right,
it's on while I'm editing, or it's on while I'm, working on my shit. But, I definitely think that, as long as you have something on YouTube, I think that's better than not having it on there at all, so
I'm lacking. I think I only put like 5 of them up there. So
I had to go back in and like backlog
long.
it. So it takes a long time.
Well, quarantine, shelter in place. I guess this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yes, this is your time to make your content, my friend. No excuses.
Just forcing my hand. That sucks.
No excuses, son.
So lazy.
Oh man. So, have you ever been screwed over on any jobs?
I mean, not really. I mean, the only thing that comes to my mind was there. I mean, I wasn't really screwed out of money, like did the work and didn't get paid. It was more got confirmed for a tour, like a big tour, and I had already like I think I asked. I was like, hey, like, or no, I don't think I asked, but I was like stoked, and things were confirmed, and we were getting information for flights and everything, budget, every like weekly pay was set in stone, and I had asked like, or I for the tour, what's it called, the ad mat thing, and I was gearing up, and I posted it on Instagram, and like 15 minutes later, they like bailed on me, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what the hell, dude? Like, I was just so pumped, and like, it was up on Instagram like long enough for like a bunch of homies to hit me up personally, like text me like, dude, can't wait to see you, man. Like, this is gonna be great. Like, that sucked because I had to take it down, and like, basically, it was just like, damn, like, obviously it would have been fun, but it was gonna be a big chunk of money too. So I was like, dude, like, what the hell? Like, how do you get to the point where you're gonna tell me like, flights are getting prepped, or like we're in the process of booking them, to, I'll just to be safe, like in the next 30 minutes, you're like, oh, we're gonna go with our old photo guy. And I'd never heard of the guy either, so like, but that was pretty bummer. But as far as like, yeah, that's probably the only one like that I can think of. I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. Some people have been screwed left and right, so it's good to hear that you, for the most part, stayed away from that kind of stuff.
What I took away from that is now when I get booked for a tour and stuff like that, I'm like, hey, can I post about it? Or when can I post about this? And usually they'll tell me like, yeah, go for it, or wait till at least this date or something like that. So I took that away from it. I always make sure to post, or like to ask before I post.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then my last question for you is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
Damn. Like as far as like touring, or like in what context? Like
as far as, photography, video, or touring, pick any of those really.
Wow. Okay. Damn. That's a good question.
Thank you. That's the one that gets everybody.
What do I know now that I wish I knew back then? Well, for touring, you can save a lot more money if you know how to like cook anything and bring like a hot plate out or something like that. Some of my favorite tours are the ones that we've had, like George Foreman or something. So I know it's kind of like not what I think would be expected me to say, but you're gonna save a lot of money on the road if you have food to cook instead of going out to eat every day.
No, you're right. You're 100% right.
And then as far as like the content creating side, the art part, I think have fun with it, and don't take it. I mean, take it seriously in like a professional manner, but you gotta have fun with it. There are certain times where I think I was too hard on myself. I think just trying to find like a good balance of being serious with your work, but not like overly serious. Because nowadays you got to put content out quick, but it also has to be top notch. So you got to kind of find that middle ground. You can't spend, 5 days on an Instagram video when you're supposed to be putting up, multiple videos. You got to find that sweet balance of this looks legit, but it's also real quick. Like if you can knock out a video in a couple hours, like that's where I was getting at on my last few tours, where I could knock out, a top notch video. And I mean, I think I did some, like on my last tour with the mice and with Nothing More, I mean, a couple of the videos each I knocked out within less than 2 hours, like from start to export, like, but they look top notch. Like, they're some of my favorite videos. So I would say try and, make sure you're popping things out quick, but they're top notch, because now it's all about quality and speed. Unfortunately, it's not easy, but that's watch. I bet you once we hang up on this call, I'm going to think of like 10 more things and whatever, but
No, those are great tips, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. So if people want to find you or hire you or pick your brain some more, where can they find you online?
I'd just say mainly like my Instagram. It's Danny Todd. It's not it's Danny Todd. It's the @, ITS, it's Danny Todd. Sometimes when people ask me, hey, what's your Instagram? I'll say it's Danny Todd, and they just search Danny Todd.
Danny Todd.
But I think if you type in Danny Todd, it'll come up. My Twitter is the same. I don't really pay attention to my website. Mainly just kind of like my portfolio and daily life, and everything is my Instagram, really. So I would say, yeah, the IG.
All right, guys, that was my podcast with Danny Todd. If you guys enjoyed that, please do me a huge favor and leave a rating and some feedback. And if you do leave feedback, I will actually send you a signed photo print of one of my photos from an abandoned building somewhere in the world, and I will sign it for you as well. So if you do leave feedback, go over to Instagram and find me at Project Freelance and just DM me a screenshot of your feedback, and then I will send that print out to you guys. Thank you so much for listening to another week of Project Freelance. My name is Kay Anagonio. Be sure to check out all the links down in the description, not only to Danny's stuff, but all the stuff I've got down there that will help you guys out if you need new gear, if you guys need a new backpack, a solar charger, camera, microphone. If you want to start podcasting and you need a studio setup, like an audio setup, I also have a link down there for you. If you want to start selling stock photography and video, there are links down in the description for you to get started on Shutterstock. And other than that, I will talk to you guys next week. My name is Kay Anagonio once again, and thank you. Thank you for listening to Project Freelance as much as you guys do. It means the world to me to have people listen to this podcast every single week. If you guys are new to the podcast, hit that subscribe button. Come back next Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another episode, or hit that subscribe button and it will automatically get sent to you every Monday. All right, guys, stay strong, keep enduring, go out and go create.